Welcome. I'm coming to you today from the branch, OC's most recent building added to campus, and a very student-focused dining room. And you will get to enjoy this in the fall, trying to make a positive out of a negative here. This is going to be a dining room that has very low mileage as we open it in January. And then, as you might know, in the middle of March, we took our classes online. So this place is going to be still like new to you when you get here. Also, want to note that we're very fortunate to be virtual or online today. You can see behind me some rain coming through the area, and that's always welcomed here in the summer in Oklahoma, but not always a great thing for a Take Flight Day. So it's good that we're online today. My name is Neil Arter, and I have had the honor of serving as the Dean of Students here for 19 years. I've worked at OC for a total of 29 years, and I continue to make OC my home, not only because of what it is, but really most importantly about what it can become. And you are a big part of that. So thank you so much for being here today. Please note at the end of our time today, I'm going to take a few minutes for some questions. And so you'll have a chance to post questions or comments, and Rachel is here to help me with that. She's going to send those to me. So be thinking of questions that you have. It doesn't necessarily have to do with what I'm talking about, but we'll be able to answer those questions. We usually have enough people here that we can find the answers. Also, we'll be talking a little bit about our COVID response, and so be watching for that as well. I want to make sure I thank our freshman experience team. Trent, Rachel, and Savannah. You're going to have to do your job, newcoming students, to get online and kind of get to know them, because they're going to be really important to you as we approach this school year, especially this year, as you're not going to have a chance to have met them in person maybe until now, and so, or until school starts. And so make sure you get out and meet them, and really take an opportunity to get to figure them out and find them out. And then also, I want to make sure and thank our marketing team. This has been a really challenging situation that we've been in, just like you've been in. And I wanted to note for you that they have done a great job of getting us ready and having us ready for this. So I want to thank Risa Forrester, Sarah Horton, who today is actually participating in Take Flight as a mom of Presley. So welcome, Presley. Welcome, Sarah. And then also Mandolin, Micah, Mindy, and Jacob. They all helped us get this online. Now, not only did we get online quickly, but we also did it in a great way. And I'm so appreciative of that. Thankful for so many of the great people that we have working with us here at OC. Well, students, today, and parents too, today is you're a part of a breath of fresh air for us. And we have looked forward to these times when we get to meet new students and get to know you. And we are so excited for the start of the school year and getting to see you. And part of that is last year didn't end like we wanted, just like it didn't for you. I get that. But also another part of it is that you bring a lot of hope to us. And so we're excited about that. Just a few months ago, as things kind of ended on our campus, we didn't really get to say our goodbyes to our seniors. And so I think what we have done is turned our energy toward welcoming a new class of transfers and freshmen. And so we're excited to see you today. I want to talk a little bit about what it would take to get your full experience out of your time at OC. And I think some of these things are going to ring true to you. You'll kind of catch on to where I'm going with them. But I just want to give you, this is observations from 29 years of watching college students. And for 19 years as the Dean of Students, being able to really watch and see how students succeed. So I hope you'll understand that from me here today. I want you to think about this first of all. I want you to choose to happen to the experience and not the other way around. We don't have control over everything, but we do have influence over things. And I hope that you will really note that. This is not going to be a shock to you, but life is going to throw you curveballs, right? I mean, someone may ask you to stay in your house for like 2 months, and you're going to be like, what? And you're like, actually, I've already done that. I can do that now. So give me something else. But life's going to throw you curveballs, and you're going to have to respond to that. And I just want to encourage you that while you can't control everything, you do have influence over how you respond to it and how you approach it. And so I really would encourage you to do that. Recently, I've been studying or reading a little bit about how people respond when tough things happen. And you really have two different responses. One is it holds you down, and another is you grow from it. So I want you to choose to grow from things that set you back. And then also, right now, all of us are going to need to come out of a situation in the world where we're going to need to grow as we move forward. So make sure you do that. Choose to tap into your experience. Don't just let it happen to you. All right, students, you're going to hate this next point for me, but number 2 for me is who you choose to be around actually matters. I know your parents have been saying that for your whole life, and I know it's also risky for me as a dean of students to just be agreeing with your parents. I get that, but hear me out on this. The people you choose to be around, they shape who you're going to be, and they also shape what you do. And so it's important that you reach out and get to know some different people. Maybe pick out the people who you want to be like. If they're going to influence you, you got to do that. Now, am I saying you got to dump your friends and you got to move on and find a whole new set of friends? No, that's not what I'm saying. Matter of fact, that wouldn't be Christian. Don't do that. But you've got to also include other people who can influence you in a positive way. And so I think it's important for you to understand that. I think as I was a student, my first year, I didn't do so well in classes, but the second year I started paying attention to who was doing well in class, and I tried to figure out what they're doing. And I know today, all these many years later, this sounds like stalking, but I would just follow those people. What are they doing? Oh, they go to the library. What is the library, right? And so I would just encourage you to choose people to be around. For example, if you are a person that likes to just watch a lot of TV shows and that's what you do, don't just find other people that like to watch all TV shows and that's what they do, because you'll find it here. But instead, find someone that will challenge you and make you a better person and try to bring you along. So who you choose to be around actually does matter. I want to note to you as well that you're part of something bigger now. And I know that you have an impressive resume coming into college. I've seen the things from admissions that you have accomplished and done. And students today, high school students and transfer students have accomplished so many things. And so I know you're great, and I know you will continue to be great. But I also want you to know that there's going to be some things happening now that are just going to get bigger and bigger, and you're going to be part of that. So you're going to be sitting in classes now with fellow students who are trying to shape the way we address social issues in our country, the way we move forward with things within our churches and within our communities, as far as the way we treat each other and love each other. You're going to be sitting in classes with people from around the world who are trying to make their country a better place, and they're learning that here. You're going to be sitting in classes with people who have put others ahead of themselves and are doing things that are so sacrificial you won't even believe it. And so all of those things are happening around you. And then you got professors who are pushing you, trying to get you to change the world. And so be ready for that. Be ready and hope. I hope that you want something that's bigger than yourself, because why would we not? My fourth thing, you get what you put into this. I know it's a pretty simple thing, and parents, you might have even said that to your students before as well. But you cannot get something out of OC if you do not put something into it. So you're going to have to get out of your rooms. You're going to have to really invest yourself. And so don't call home and tell your parents, well, there's nothing going on here. Parents, it's actually the opposite. I'm afraid there's too much going on. And so I'm nervous about that as your student starts as a new student, or a transfer student even. And so just know that you got to put yourself into it if you really want to get the full experience. And so by doing that, you'll meet new people, you'll come to understand why things happen. There are very few things, if anything, that I know of on this campus that happens just to keep you busy. There's a purpose and a reason behind everything. And so we do a lot of things to build community, and you'll notice that. And those are important times. Many students have faced difficulties during their college careers that they will have to lean on that community when they go through those difficult times. So make sure you put something into it, and I think that's really important. Also, maybe one last thing here, and then I have a bonus one, but my last one really is that you need to commit today to finishing what you start. I know it's easy, and parents, you're like, trust me, we're just figuring out how to start this year. We just figured out how to get it paid for, or we haven't quite figured it out. We're about to get it figured out. We're working with financial services on campus. But you have to commit today to finish what you start. And the reason I say that is because it's real easy for us just to say, okay, I got started and I started college. You know what? In our country, almost anyone can say that because there's a way to start college for anyone. But what you need to start doing is start thinking and planning now for how you're going to succeed and finish what you start. And it's important. It's a big deal. Now, parents, I know what you're thinking. Neil, you don't understand. This is going to be really challenging for us. We figured out this first year. I get it. I get that. But you also have invested way too much, parents, not to get the full benefit of this. And having an education and having a degree from Oklahoma Christian is going to be a huge investment in the future of your family. And so you got to start doing that now. And so parents, I would just encourage you tonight. You have a conversation around dinner. Instead of talking about when you start college, because that's going to happen. That's happening now. Everything's moving in motion now. It's almost like we can't stop it. I hate to tell you that. But that part's happening. So start using language like when you graduate college, fill in the blank. And so talk about those things and really set that in motion. I want to tell you a story real quick about a parent that I had an interaction with several years ago. I was on a parent panel here at one of the high school visit days that we had. We're up in Scott Chapel in the Bible building, and we're sitting up there with probably about 6 parents, and on one end of the parents was the director of financial aid and dean of students, myself on the other end. And I've been on several of those panels before, nothing too unusual for me, but I was a little bit nervous because I was sitting next to a guy who I knew his daughters and I knew him, and he was a farmer from West Texas, and he kind of called it like he sees it. And I was nervous because there's a chance that someone could ask a question of him that he would have given the straightest answer you've ever seen, and I would have been really anxious trying to figure it out. But one of the first questions someone asked was, man, so this dad had 3 daughters that came to OC, and there was a year that he almost had all 3 here at one time, but the oldest one finished on time or a little early and got out, and so that the next one was coming. And so a dad raised a hand in the audience. First question, how in the world did you afford to put 3 kids through private university, and how did you do that? And I about melted because I just thought, I know this guy next to me. Ronnie shoots it straight, and he says exactly what's on his mind. And so he started to answer, and I'm just up here thinking, okay, how can I respond? How can I kind of reply to this once he's finished? And he goes, man, you know what? It was expensive. It is expensive. And he said, it's really difficult. And he said, but I want to tell you a story. This is Ronnie talking. So I want to tell you a story about my best friend. And he said, my best friend's my banker, which I'm not a farmer, but it seems to me like if you're going to have a best friend as a farmer, probably a banker wouldn't be a bad one to have. And he said, one time he told me something that I really have taken to heart, and that was, he said, Ronnie, I hope you come up 1 load short on the hay this year. And Ronnie looked at him like, well, you're my best friend. Like, why are you saying this? Why are you wishing bad on me? And his friend, the banker, said, that way you'll know that God's in control and he'll take care of you. And Ronnie said, you know what? Every time I would get that bill, at that time we had paper bills, and he said, get that bill, and he'd look at it, and he's like, oh my goodness, how am I going to pay for this? He said, someone would knock on the door, and they'd say, Ronnie, what are you doing with that old hay truck out there? You haven't moved it in years, and I really like to buy that. And he'd say, look at that bill, and look at them. He said, that truck's for sale. And it would always come through and always happen. And he said that, and he's tearing up by this point, and so most of the people in the audience are too. But he said, one of the things that taught him was that the Lord will provide. And so all of you will have to lean on that just like we have to. And I know there's a lot of variables. I know there's a lot of challenges, but I hope you will commit now to finishing that. Okay, one bonus one I want to add in. I want you to know this. You are not going to be defined by your worst day, and you're not going to be defined by your best day. There's going to be something in between. And I want you to know on this campus, your worst day is not going to be what you're defined by. And it's not going to be where we leave you. It's not going to be how we do that. And so that worst day or that best day, those are going to be things that move you forward into how you're known. I just want to make sure I said that to you as we look to your time here on campus. And I want to say especially to the transfers who might be listening today, we're excited that you're here and that you're going to be with us this fall. I know too, when you come to campus, we'll have some opportunities for you to meet other transfers and students who have transferred in the past. So we hope to help walk through this whole transition with you. Well, I know there's probably a lot of questions about how the university is going to respond to the COVID-19 outbreak and how we can best be prepared for that. In fact, we get a lot of questions from prospective students, but probably more from our current students about what measures are being taken in the fall to make sure that we are safe as possible. I want to bring out a couple of things to you just to let you know kind of what's happening there. The president, John DeSteiger, has appointed a committee that is called the COVID Readiness Task Force. Dr. Jeff McCormick is leading that effort, and he and several others on campus are meeting every week to discuss our plans for how we will be ready, how we will clean the campus, and also how we will use best practices to make sure we're healthy and moving forward. So at the beginning of next month, the COVID Readiness Task Force is going to release their plan for how OC will do that. Here's a couple of spoilers for you. One, you're going to have to really look at what's best for the whole community and the whole group. You're going to be asked to do that. So be thinking about that now. Will we be required to wear a mask, or will you be required to take your temperature, or whatever those things might be? I don't know. There's some things that will still be determined there. There's a lot of things that will happen between now and move-in day or the start of classes. But I will tell you that we will be ready for whatever that is and how that will happen. And we're going to ask you as a campus to prioritize all the things that we'll need to do for the good of all of the people on campus and not just ourselves. And so also there's some obvious things that have happened. A lot more hand sanitizer stations around campus. The cleaning process for bathrooms and other high-touch areas has really been ramped up, and there's a good plan in place for that, especially in the residence halls where there are bathrooms. It's not just where they stay and how do we take care of them, but it's also how do we keep providing them with their class material or their learning opportunities and keep them moving forward with that. It's our prayer, of course, that we won't really see much of a rebound, I guess you would say, of the COVID-19 outbreak. But if there is, we're going to be ready to handle that. And at this point, we feel really strong with our online abilities to be able to go online for classes. But we also know that we want to be together, and we've heard that from many of you. And so we'll do everything we can to make sure we are prepared and can do that at the best of our ability, and most importantly, keep you safe. Again, I want to stress to you that the plans will change because this whole thing is changing. You can't go a week without changing your plans. And so not every decision will be made by July 1st, but you should see some information coming out that'll kind of start letting you see how we're going to be able to respond to your needs. I think that's the key thing there. Parents, I might stress to you, if you're watching today, that you want to make sure OC has your correct email address, and you can do that through your admissions counselor. Just make sure that they have the right email address for you. Because of this COVID-19 pandemic and what that requires of us, we'll be probably sending out more communications to parents this year, trying to keep you in the loop. And then also throughout the year and throughout your student's career at OC, it just gives us a better opportunity to be able to share information with you about what's going on campus. We have a program, an app on campus that we use called OC Notify. And anytime there's an emergency on campus or a weather emergency or otherwise, we are able to text and email the whole campus at one time. And there's also a part of that your student can set up for you to receive that information as well. So make sure we get the correct email address, and you'll kind of receive more information about that. All right, it's time for us to take some questions if you have those. So Rachel's over here, and she's going to let me know if any questions come in, And so let me look to her now. Do we have some, Rachel, to start with?
Yes.
All right.
First question is, what is going to happen with Freshman Fanfare?
Okay, so the first question someone asked is, what is going to happen to Freshman Fanfare? Let me tell you a little bit about our mentality with this, and you can kind of see where this takes the answer. It is not our desire to cancel everything. So we are trying to figure out how to do everything without canceling it. So I think what you could assume is that we're going to try to have a Freshman Fanfare, and we may have to modify some things. Maybe we don't have as many large group acts, and maybe that's what it is, I don't know. But also we would have to maybe modify how the crowd sees the show. Do we space out more for that, or how does that work? And so we're gonna be doing all those things. Most importantly, we're going to be watching out for the student health, because while it is important to build those friendships and things during freshman Fanfare, it's also very important that you stay healthy and continue your academic pursuits. So be watching for that. I think it's fair to say we're going to do everything we can to have that production in some way. It's very possible that some of it will be, some more of it might be produced on video, or how it might be. We're going to make some modifications to be safe, but we're looking forward to that event. Okay, what else?
What makes OC special?
Okay, the question is, what makes OC special? Well, I'm sure that that's different for each person. I know it is. I know for me, it's different things at different times even. And but one of the things that I really appreciate, that I think makes OC really special, is you have a group of people who are trying to look for the greater good in what it takes. They're not necessarily concerned about their own happiness and their own comfort. And so they're trying to do things that move forward. And so I think that's a big part of it and what makes it so special. I think you'll also find at OC that there's a number of people that are willing to invest their time and energy into you. And that's not just faculty and staff, it's some of your fellow students as well. And I think that's a pretty special one as well. But for whoever's asking that question, just know that's going to be different for every person. And I think you'll be able to answer that question as well and tell why it's so special to you. That's a great question.
All right, is there a gym on campus?
Is there a gym on campus? Yes. As a matter of fact, we have a couple of things. I see where you're going with this, but the Dub is a workout facility, a fitness center on campus. It's located in the same building as the gym and the swimming pool, and as the basketball gym and the swimming pool. And so all of that's together there. The Dub is included in your student fees, and so it's free for you to use in that sense. And then also there's a lot of other classes that are taught from the Dub too, that you can take different maybe yoga classes or kickboxing or any of those different CrossFit classes maybe that are offered there that you might be interested in. So you'll hear about that. I did want to note as well that there's a couple of smaller gyms, and a couple of them are just fitness areas that are just set up for women only. One of them in Tinius Hall has about half a dozen machines there, and then one over in U House that has 4 or 5 machines there as well that are there for you to use. And then over in the apartments, there's one that men and women use. It probably has half a dozen machines in it as well, and it's just kind of a smaller space. It's closer to your living areas. And in the case of Tinius and U House, only available to women. And for some of you, that might be a better atmosphere for you to work out in, and so that would make it more appealing to you. So I hope you'll take advantage of that.
What do we do on campus during severe weather?
What do we do on campus during severe weather? Well, right now, we just keep on talking. Actually, we're really excited about this rain because we haven't had rain in Oklahoma in a while, so we're pretty excited about that. But this is a great question. Almost every Take Flight, we get this question, and I understand why. Because Oklahoma, we tend to have more tornadoes and things like that, although here recently, our friends in North Texas have been getting more of those than we have, and while we're not complaining, we are sorry for them to have experienced that. But we actually are really blessed in Oklahoma to have great meteorologists who can predict tornadic and severe weather in that way in a really excellent way. They're just really good, and they have found many ways to give us good access to information and a lot of pre-warning. Thankfully for us, a lot of the occurrence of severe weather happens in May and June when most students are back home, and so they don't have to worry about it as much. But in Oklahoma, that kind of weather can spin up at any time, and so it's possible. But we're really thankful for the forecasters who work with us, and we have some sources that we use to gain some pre-information that helps us make decisions about making sure we have everyone in a safe place. Part of that is just like I said, the great meteorologists that we have. Many times they're going to tell you what time the storms start, what street they're on. I mean, they can just tell you everything about it. And so when we have an emergency coming or a time when we need to be concerned, we get a lot of pre-warning and we pass it along to the students. It would not be out of character for me to get up in chapel on those days and say, hey, today would be a great day to watch the weather and see your weather app and see what you can do. But as I mentioned before, we have the OC Notify app that helps us contact the students, say, students, we're in a severe weather setting, you need to take notice of that, or maybe we need to say you need to take shelter, or maybe whatever needs to happen there. Luckily, we don't have to do that a whole lot, but we do that some. And so that's a good communication for us. Also, in each dorm room, on the back of each door is your instructions for what to do when you're in that building or in that facility. So for example, in U House, the north hallway of U House on the bottom floor is a reinforced hallway where you can go and be safe and be taken care of in that building. And so just knowing those kind of things about where you're supposed to be, that's all really important. There's a lot of good communication happens about that, and I think in general that's how we stay safe. Now, I will tell you, those same weather men and women who predict storms at an incredible clip, they're not so great at predicting snow. And now, if you are a weatherman or woman watching this, I apologize, but you're not as good at that as you are at predicting storms. But I understand that icy weather may be harder to predict. But so we do have to watch that as well, and that's a pretty exciting time around campus. If we call a day because of weather, it's a pretty big day around here. People can sleep in a little bit, and now you can come up for lunch in the branch and watch people outside, hopefully not falling on the sidewalks or on the slick snow or ice or whatever, but it certainly is an exciting time on campus. Rachel, what else?
Are there any clubs or organizations on campus?
Okay, the question was, are there any clubs or organizations on campus? Yes, pretty much for about everything that you can think of. So if you want to be involved in service, there's something for that. If you love missions and you want to kind of develop that part of your brain and your experience, there's a great organization called Outreach on campus, one of the oldest organizations that we have. And so yes, there's a lot of different organizations. Some of them are in your special academic areas, and you'll want to get involved with that. For example, there's a group called Scientistas who just for women in science, and you will gain a lot of great support and knowledge and ideas by being involved with that. So those kind of things are there for you in your academic areas. But yeah, there's an organization for about everything on a college campus, and we certainly have plenty of those here. What else?
What's your favorite meal in the branch?
Oh, the question was, what's your favorite meal in the branch? For me, this one's pretty easy, although I say that and I just came up with another one. But for me, I would say one of the favorites is the buffalo chicken salad or the buffalo chicken wrap. And it is so good, it's really delicious. So that's my kind of standard favorite. A new favorite is the orange peel chicken, which they've added when the branch opened, and it is really good as well. And then finally, the old standard for everyone is in the mornings to get an omelet made the way you want, right in front of you, fresh omelet. So that's obviously some pretty big choices there.
When will we find out more information about housing?
Okay, when will we find out more information about housing? Well, many times we will send that out kind of in mid-July. But as you know, our year's kind of gotten bumped up closer to us this year. And so really after the 1st of July, information will be going out to you about that. And you'll get some email and communications from the email address for Oklahoma Christian Residence Life. And they will tell you more about what you need to do, and you'll log on. You can see your room assignment. And then also on their website is a description of your room, and it kind of tells you like what the setup is in there, how many dressers and beds and so forth. You can kind of see all of that. So you'll be getting that really next month, and should give you enough time to get that taken care of.
Are there any on-campus jobs?
All right. Are there any on-campus jobs? Well, yes, there are quite a few on-campus jobs. There are a lot of jobs that are work-study jobs, and maybe you don't know about the college work-study program, but it's usually based on through financial services, and it's really kind of based on financial need. And I know for myself, I had a work-study job all the way through college, and so that was good for me. You'll go online and to MyOC, and you can look for student job postings, and you can look there to see what jobs are open and need to be filled, and you can contact the people there. And I would encourage you to do that soon, because those jobs will all get filled up, or at least will initially get filled up, and then there may be some change after that, depending on if people actually follow through with taking the job or what. But whatever. But you can do that by looking on MyOC and searching student job listings. Yeah. What?
Can freshmen rush a club?
Can freshmen rush a club? It's a great question. For many years, we had freshmen in our clubs, and we kind of started doing some studying on that to try to understand what was best for the freshmen, and also, to be honest, what was best for the clubs at the time as well. And part of that decision was made to not have freshmen in clubs for a couple of reasons. One, for the clubs themselves, we had many students who were rushing into a club and were not actually connecting with the club, and so then we're leaving the club either at semester or at the end of the year. And it was kind of a constant turn for a lot of students. And part of that was really tough on the leadership of the clubs. It caused a lot of kind of bad feelings back and forth. And so now, as you rush as a sophomore, you have opportunity to see those clubs more thoroughly and to kind of understand which club you connect with best. Another part of that is that if it was the way it is right now, clubs, when you arrive on campus, the first Tuesday of school, you go to club night and you begin the rush process. And it's about a month and a half of rush events. And so for freshmen, we're really trying to get you connected to the university, get you settled into your working environment as a student, and help you understand what it's going to take to succeed in college. And if you come in and you spend the first 6 weeks concentrating on trying to rush a club and to be which one to choose and who your friends are choosing and all those different things, then you kind of lose focus on a lot of those other things that really matter. That helps set a really good basis for what you're doing. So I hope that you will still be involved in clubs as a sophomore, and really during the second semester of the school year, during the spring, there will be some times that the clubs will be contacting the freshmen to have you start checking out their club. Although, I'll be honest, freshmen are checking out the clubs from day one, and they're kind of watching what's going on there. So that's a pretty good opportunity for you to see who they really are and how you would connect and be able to be involved in that. Good question.
How do I order books for class?
Okay. How do I order books for class? We may do one more after this, unless you have tons more. Are you okay? Okay. So we'll do one more after this one. But how do I order books for class? Okay. So the bookstore on campus, and you can go on MyOC and search bookstore, and it'll take you to their site. They have something called the textbook butler, and it will order your books for you, and it will have those books waiting for you in your dorm room when you arrive in the fall. Now, all new students are automatically entered into the textbook butler service, and so you need to go online, and if you're not getting your books from there, you need to go online to MyOC and find a bookstore and unenroll from the textbook butler. But all new students are automatically signed up because it kind of helps take you through that process. And it's always tough advice to know what you should do as far as books. But that's kind of the initial way to find that. When you have your class schedule set and you go on the bookstore website, it will show you what books each class required. And there are some classes that have required readings and some have required and suggested readings. So you might want to just buy everything and be ready for that. My experience was that I always try to make sure I need the book before I used it. But there's also the bad part is kind of playing that game of chicken a little bit, where you need the book but you haven't gotten it yet, and it's sold out in the bookstore and you can't get it here soon enough, and you kind of end up behind a little bit. And maybe you're in a position where you could get behind in classes and bounce back. I was never a student that needed to get behind in classes. So all of that's there for you. But if you go to the bookstore website and it'll pull up your schedule there with the bookstore, and it will tell you what books you need. And I will tell you, a lot of times students think they can buy those on Amazon or other sources, but make sure that you're looking at the edition that is actually the one your professor is using. They provide you with the ISBN for that book for a reason, and that's because sometimes you can get the 3rd edition of a book for really cheap on Amazon, but it's a 5th edition that your professor is teaching out of. So make sure you check that. Okay, one more question.
What's your favorite event on campus?
Okay, what is my favorite event on campus? That's a good question too. I think, I need to just give one answer. I feel kind of like I'm a chicken whenever I give multiple answers. So my favorite event, I'm going to go with my favorite, probably like most recently added event, kind of the newest one, my newest favorite, and that is the lighting of the commons. It's such a fun night. It's kind of become a gathering time for a lot of people, not just for our current students, but also past students. So we always see a lot of great friends there. We see a lot of friend groups get together at it as well. There's several groups of students who have a tradition of having their photo taken with Santa during that event. And then the actual lighting of the commons is a really fun night. And so I think that's one of my favorite events now. And I will tell you, with this semester, the way it's shaped up, and we're having graduation before Thanksgiving this year, I'm not sure how we're going to have lighting of the commons, but I'm sure we're going to. And so lighting of the commons will have to be before Thanksgiving, and maybe it will be kind of a celebration of another great semester, which will be awesome as well. And then maybe for some of you seniors, be celebrating the completion of your degree in December as well. So I just hope that, so that's one of my favorites. So I hope that you will continue to reach out to us and do what you can to help ask questions of us. We'll be glad to answer those however we can. Remember that we can't control everything that happens around us, but we can decide how we react to it and how we will influence it. So that's going to be really important that we remember that as we go into the days ahead. A lot of uncertainties, but there is one thing for certain that we do know, and is that we care for each other. We love you, and we're just now getting to know you. And we also are really encouraged by the great things you're going to do on this campus. So God bless you and your families, and all of you will be in our prayers. Take care.